over next week. Oh, Tamika says not really sure. Okay, cool. Okay. So guys, luckily next week is still going to be collab. But I just want to quickly go over when I'm actually going to see you guys face to face again. So because of COVID and COVID procedures and protocols and everything, there's just a few things that I want you guys to please keep in mind when you come to class. So the first one is that you are not allowed to eat in class. Well, essentially, everything that I'm going to say is coming back to the fact that you should keep your mask on for the duration of the session. Okay, so what I thought of doing is obviously if you want to take a sip of water, sip of coffee, all of those, then it's fine because you essentially take your mask off, drink something, put it back on. If you want to eat something, so remember that you guys probably would have seen with chapter 11, I have a lot of activities this semester. So the exact same thing is going to happen in class as well. I'm going to give you some time to do your activities as well as a break, like we've always had a break. So if you are really hungry and you feel like you might just attack someone because you are just so incredibly hungry, then during those activities or obviously during the break, you can step out of class, quickly go and grab a bite of whatever you will satisfy your hunger, and then come back into class and continue. Okay, so I'm going to use, so you can use the activities or the break to quickly go step out, grab a bite, come back. And guys, then just, I know that I always walk up and down in class. I want to say that I'm going to try and limit it, but I'm going to try, but it's just so nice for me to interact with you guys as I'm walking up and down in class. But also because I'm pregnant, obviously I'm at a bit of a higher risk of contracting COVID. So I'm going to try and limit getting as close to any student as possible. It might be hard because I do like I said, walking up and down in class and everything, but we have to try and keep each other safe and sanitize, masks, all of the usual things. Luckily, it's getting warmer. So by getting warmer, the COVID cases are also decreasing, which is a good thing. Okay, so that is also the reason why we had online classes last week and this week, is just to try and also decrease the exposure of COVID, or the risk for exposure, obviously, of COVID on campus. We did have a meeting before classes started, and they've actually said that no student, while there's no case that anyone knows of a student actually contracting COVID on campus from anyone, which I think is quite a very, very good statistic to share. So, and I do think it comes back to just the way that we are practicing our COVID procedures and all of that. Okay, cool. So guys, like I said, today we're going to do chapter 12, and chapter 12 is on HR management. If we quickly go back to the functional areas of management, remember that we have 5 functional areas. Okay, some slides. My slides are not presenting. So we have 5 different functional areas. It is operations management, HR, marketing, then we have finance, and then the last one is our logistics or supply chain management. So those are the 5 functional areas that we're going to do this semester. And then obviously, like I said, the 6th chapter will be strategic management. Okay. So guys, have you also had issues with VisiLearn? This morning it kicked me out continuously, and but now it is luckily a little bit better. It is still giving me issues. Okay, and just as I was talking about VC-Learn issues, it kicked me out. So, guys, remember at any point, if I just go quiet for a random reason, just let me know so I can just reconnect. There's just some issues with VC-Learn. Everyone is struggling with VC-Learn. So luckily, it's not just me. Okay, so guys, the themes, what are we going to talk about? Okay, just 100%. Okay, so remember your themes. Your themes are essentially the learning outcomes that you have to know in order to be successful in your test, your assignment, and in your exam. Okay, we are going to touch on some labor law in this chapter as well. So here at the bottom, we are going to look at the different legislations that impacts the workplace itself. So the relationship between line management and where HR management comes in. So guys, the first thing that we're going to do is I just quickly want to show you guys the video, and then after that, then we're going to chat about where on this earth does HR manager fit into the organization, and why do we even need HR management? Okay, let me just quickly share the video.
In the beginning, the role of your HR team was largely functional. It was centered around payroll, leave, policy making, and training. Recruitment generally meant putting an ad in the paper and hoping for the best, or hiring a recruiter. Then things changed. Technology and social media happened, and as a result, your role as the head of HR began to evolve. Being just a brand name company was no longer enough. Because of social media, everyone knows what it's like to work in a company. They can see your words there, if you have cool company perks, what your company culture is like, even if your office has a slide. The employer brand was born. Now every employee is an ambassador. Their experiences are shared with a captive online audience who in turn share it with their audiences. Today, the first step of recruitment doesn't start with a job application. It starts online. The very first thing a prospective job candidate does is run a search on you. Not just your company. It's also your LinkedIn profile that they are looking at. As the head of HR, you now also need to be a brand builder and a marketer. Recruitment began to change too. Technology opened up a whole new world of talent. Not just active job seekers, but hundreds upon thousands of qualified candidates who weren't actively looking. It was a game changer. You now have direct access to talent. You no longer have to wait for the right CV to cross your desk. Your employees were also increasingly becoming a valuable source of recruitment. As ambassadors for your company, they were best placed to identify the right people to join your team. But for them to do that efficiently, you needed to give them the right tools. A strong employer brand, a great company narrative, and an inspiring work environment. As the head of HR, you now also need to be a communications expert and motivator. Technology also opened up an overwhelming world of data to HR leaders. There was so much opportunity to utilize this data to improve the decision-making process, make better hires, and retain talent. All at your fingertips. You just had to make sense of it all. Because you now needed to be an analyst and an insights person. Today, the role of HR in an organization is no longer functional. It is transformational. As the head of HR, you are responsible for building your employer brand so that you attract the right talent. You deliver value for your company by understanding and using data-driven insights to improve efficiencies. You hire the right talent by connecting with the right people. You are a brand builder, an analyst, a communicator, a motivator, and a collaborator. And as your partners at LinkedIn, we are here to provide you with just the tools and insights you need to get the job done.
Okay, so guys, if we look at what HR management is about, although HR is seen as a strategic partner, so they are just essentially performing a supporting role to the different stakeholders inside of the company, they do contribute to the labor productivity. The thing about HR is that it's the only department in the whole of the company that is directly responsible for the employees. So think about it. Finance is responsible for ensuring that all our debt is paid, ensuring that our invoices are sent out to our suppliers, for instance. Marketing is responsible for making sure that we are meeting our targets, that our products are being advertised, and HR is responsible for looking after as well as gathering employees for the organization. So it ensures that the skills base of employees are improved, and they also need to be accountable for their actions. So every manager needs to realize the importance of recruiting, selecting, training, developing, rewarding, assisting, motivating my employees. But obviously, no line manager is actually equipped in all of these different areas. And this is where HR comes in. So the focus of the HR department is on working together with the different departments inside of the company, working together with top management to ensure that the effective and that the correct and employees are actually selected for the company. So when we look at successful organizations, they will offer or provide the following. So the primary benefit, obviously, is a salary. If you are not getting a salary, then that means you are working for free. Some companies will offer, I would say about 85, maybe 90% of companies will offer some form of pension fund or provident fund, so some form of a contribution that you and the employer make to a pension fund or a provident fund. Other companies might also offer medical aid or share options. So if you work for the company for a certain amount of years, you will be given a certain amount of shares inside of the company. Then the secondary benefits that the company will offer is working conditions. So what type of condition am I working in? I don't know if you guys were in class when I showed last semester the King Price. It was a video on Instagram. You guys can still go and see it of King Price. And I honestly think that King Price is like the coolest company to work for. I think it's just because of the all superheroes, and I love superheroes. And this little baby has like Superman and Batman outfits already because I love Batman so much. And that was just recorded. But anyway, so the working conditions, what working conditions am I stepping into when I step into this company? So if you go and compare King Price, for instance, they have, just looks like a fun company to work for. Then leave. Some companies offer more leave than other companies, for instance. Flexible working hours. Most companies will have a 7 to 4 or an 8 to 5, 9 to 6 as well. Other companies even have a 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock shift. So you can arrange your life around your working hours. Other companies also have recognition programs. So they are really focused on recognizing the good work that their employees are doing. Then other benefits that some companies will also offer is training and development. So any initiatives to assist our employees to develop themselves, to develop their skills so that they can be better employees and better people as well. Then career development. So sitting with your manager saying, you know what, I would really like to go into this particular job. I know that I'm here at the moment, but this is what I'm working towards, as well as talent management. And then, like we've already touched on a little bit, just the company culture and the diversity. So what does the company do for the community out there? For instance, Sorbet has its own academy where you can go and study to work for Sorbet, for instance. Are they contributing to the cheetah rehabilitation program, for instance, and you just love cheetahs so much. So that's really something that pulls at your heartstrings. For instance, Varsity College is part of like a house that takes or that looks after babies. Mostly babies, I want to say toddlers as well, but it's mostly babies who have been taken away from their parents because they cannot, they are just not equipped at the moment to look after them. So that is something I've always loved. So that's something that I always donate to at Varsity College, is just to help this house with any needs that they, for instance, have. So maybe there's something at Varsity College. So one of the campaigns that they are running that pulls at your heartstrings. And when you one day start looking for employment, it is important to ask them, what are you doing from your side to contribute to corporate social responsibility as well as corporate social investment? Okay, so one day when you guys are past final year and you go for a job interview, remember first year business management and ask them, what are you doing towards corporate social responsibility? It's a very interesting question. I think some managers might be a bit, I don't think that all of them will know exactly what to say. So guys, just one more thing that I want to mention here before we carry on. In the video that I showed you, remember, as much as the company is evaluating you when you go for an interview, you are also evaluating them. Okay, remember that. Remember that you also have to look at them and say, is this really a company that I would like to work for? And you should never be too desperate. And I know it sounds so stupid. You guys will be like, but ma'am, I need a job. I get that. I honestly get that. But you should always keep your options open. Okay, go to a couple of interviews. Get used to going to interviews. There's a lady that I used to work with that would always, she would just randomly apply for jobs. She still works at the same company, by the way. She just always applies for jobs and then she goes for the interviews. And she's not doing it because she wants a new job. She does it so that she can keep up to date with what are the questions that are being asked, what are the skills that are required these days by companies. So she just does it to stay in the loop of and to train herself essentially in the interview process. Okay, so when we continue with HR management, so what are the contributions that are made by HR management? So like I said in the beginning, some companies do not really understand where HR management comes in. They don't really feel it's even necessary to hire someone that has HR management experience. They just feel that the person that does the finances can do the HR as well. And that is not always the case. They play a very, very big role in looking after the employees that will help the organization to actually meet their own objectives. Okay, so they assist employees to reach their stated goals. Remember that your employees also have goals that they want to achieve. They ensure the efficient use of skills and abilities. So if there's maybe someone that they can see this is really a creative person, and they're just stuck here in the finance department. Can't we use them maybe in the sales or the marketing department? So they're already looking at the skills that their employees possess and where can those skills be used better. Then they are providing well-trained and motivated employees. We are also going to look at motivation later on in this chapter. They assist in the attainment of job satisfaction and self-actualization. So they want employees that are happy in their job. Remember, we're also going to look at Maslow, but self-actualization is the top, that's the last need that you can satisfy, according to Maslow. They develop the quality of their work life, looking after ethical policies. They manage change as well inside of the company. So if something happens inside of the company, then they are a key contributor to making sure that the employees understand that this change is taking place, and they will assist any employees that are maybe dealing with anxiety with regards to this particular change. And then the last one is they are also involved in the strategic decision-making process. So when we look at who performs the HR function, when a new person is recruited, we need the line manager and the HR manager to come together and to be involved to make sure that that new person is brought up to speed as quickly as possible. I remember my previous job, I started at like the busiest time of that poor job's year. Okay, like honestly, guys, it's the busiest time. And I literally sat there for a week because everyone was so busy working and meeting targets that no one had time to train me. So I just sat there for like a week and I just tried to I tried to help where I thought I could. So I did some filing or I, put some names on files and stuff like that. And then only after a week, someone, I think they kind of realized I was there. And then they were like, oh, yes, you, come here. We have to quickly train you. So you need to make sure that when a new person starts, that you have an actual program, like a training program, that the person goes through just to bring them up to speed as to what the job entails and who all the managers are that the person is actually going to work with. If this HR function inside of the HR department is not run effectively, it's going to just lose its function. So we have to make sure that this particular HR function is actually managed properly. So I have a question for you guys. Lila and John are owners of a small coffee shop. So they have seen that there's growth in their business and they have to recruit more staff. And on top of that, it's the festive season that's coming up. So they know that they are going to be busier than they normally are during the rest of the year. So they have decided they'll need 2 more baristas. So I know the one student asked me what is a barista, and those are the people that make the coffee. So it's like a specialty. It's like a coffee chef, essentially. And they also need 3 more waiters. So they require your assistance in assisting them with the activities that are related to the HR function. Okay. So guys, the first question will be, who do you think in this coffee shop will perform the HR function? And then I want to know what happens if it goes quiet again. So what happens if the festive season is over and they don't have, or they have less customers than what they have at the moment? So who do you think are going to perform the HR function? And what do you think is going to happen if it just goes quiet again? What can we do? What can Lila and John do from their side to ensure that they have the correct amount of staff? Okay, so just take some few minutes to think it over, and then you are welcome to switch your mic on or just put in the comment section, who do you think will perform the HR function in this case, and what happens if it goes quiet again? Okay, so guys, let's see some responses. Who do you think in this case is going to have to perform the HR function? Remember, this is a small coffee shop. So it's not a big Starbucks where there is like 10 people that are working. It's just a very small coffee shop. Who do you think is going to have to perform the HR function? Guys, I just had a whole conversation with myself. Okay, let's start again. Okay, so I agree with you guys. Remember, this is a small coffee shop. It is not a big coffee shop. So what they can do is they can outsource this particular HR function to someone else, especially if they feel that they just do not have enough experience in HR management and there's someone else that just has a bit more experience. Remember that there's companies that is really, really, really small. There's only 6 people that work there. So it doesn't really make sense to now go and employ someone that's only going to look after HR. But it will be ideal to maybe have someone that has some HR knowledge that will then also perform an additional function. So they might help in the finance department, or they might help with admin, for instance. Um, but like Lafun is saying, they can also do it themselves and try to cut the costs. So maybe between Lila and John, one of them has some HR experience in order to now recruit the baristas and the waiters. Okay. So guys, what are we going to do, my little law students, if it goes quiet again? So it's January. Christmas is over. All the people that wanted coffee and cake, they have come. They've gotten their coffee and cake and they've left. So now it's January. Remember, everyone is poor in January. No one has any money. So what are we going to do once this rush of customers are over? Okay. Yeah, so we can always outsource. So we can maybe just so there are some companies that will essentially how can I say? So they will borrow. Um, so they have employees that work for them, and that they essentially borrow to companies. So they can maybe borrow as two baristas and waiters, and then after the festive season is over, then they will essentially just go back and they'll work in another coffee shop, for instance. Guys, something else that we can also do is we can have a fixed term contract. So we can have a contract for 2 months, for instance, or 3 months or 4 months. This is what they do when someone, for instance, goes on maternity leave. Then they will have someone that will fill that. Okay, so okay, so guys, Visilin is showing me flames. I've learned new words. You guys can see. Okay, all the VC students have taught me new sentences and new words. So what I was saying is that when you employ someone on a fixed term contract, they know from the start that they will only be there for a certain amount of time. It's not as if you employ this person permanently and then after 4 months you're like, oh, okay, bye. Thank you for everything. Hope you are well. And yeah, cheers. Here's a free coffee for you. Okay. So we can also employ them on a fixed term contract that will just be more fair to the coffee shop and to the person as well. If it does not go quiet again and it is really a busy coffee shop and it stays busy, then obviously we can employ them permanently. And then maybe over the festive season we can just hire some students that can come and work for us. And after the festive season, when university starts again, then they'll just continue on their way again. Okay. So guys, the next things we're going to look at is the processes that are involved in human resource planning, recruitment, development of my employees, retaining my employees, and also motivating my employees. So guys, the first thing that we're going to look at is the different phases in HR planning. So we first have to identify the work that's being done in the organization. Then we have to do our human resources forecasting, and then we have to look at our human resource plan. So the first phase, this is where we identify the work that's being done in the organization, and this consists of three things. So the first one is job analysis, job description, and then job specification. So job analysis looks at the tasks and the duties as well as the responsibilities of the particular job. Similar to what we did in first semester when we looked at leadership, this is about the job. It's not about the person. So we are looking at the job that someone is going to fulfill. We are not currently looking at the person. We don't care about who is going to fulfill this position. We are only concerned about the specific job. Then we have job description. So this is where we want to get good insight into the job. We look at the content of the job. What does the job entail? What do you have to do? And then the next one is job specification. So job specification are the qualifications, the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities, as well as the experience and education that the person A will require in order to be successful in this particular position. Okay, so guys, what I want you to do for me, I will quickly type it up here for you, and then I'll give you guys a break. So I want you guys to go and look for me for the job specifications for a sales manager. I want an au pair, and then I want a mechanic as well. Okay, so I wanted to go and Google for a sales manager position, an au pair position, and a mechanic. And then let's quickly take a break. So we'll come back at 4 o'clock, and then we'll quickly discuss the job specifications. So I just want to know qualifications. I want to know what skills, abilities, experience the particular person will need in order to be successful in qualifying for this particular job. So sales manager, an au pair, and a mechanic. Okay. So let's come back at 4 o'clock and then we'll discuss this.